Hey guys, welcome to the season 2 of Rockstars of Ethereum, a show about the journey and the awesome work people are doing in Ethereum and Web3 space as a whole, aka Rockstars of Ethereum. I'm Richa.
And I'm Harsh from Ethereum Push Notification Service.
Correct.
Richa always does this. It seemed like that she doesn't really want to synchronize anymore.
Yep. So getting started, what connects your wallet to the dApp? And what is that one single software that has onboarded millions of people into the Web3 space? Please welcome the OG of the space, the co-founder of Metamask, who comes here with an alpha. We'll see. Please welcome the one and only, the person who gives the coolest obligatory poses, Dan Finlay of Metamask. Hey, Dan, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Dan. So yeah, Dan, before we get started into the interview, what we do is we tell our viewers like how we met our guest. So I'll just do that right away. So yeah, guys, how we met Dan. This, in my opinion, is something that makes Ethereum really awesome. The fact that if you have a cool idea, then cooler developers and cooler builders, apart from you, will jump right in and give you feedback. That's the same thing that happened during the earliest of days. We were still hacking EPNs, and I don't know, I wrote a thread, and Dan essentially just replied to it on the POC and told us like how it can be done or where it should be headed to be actually useful. Well, of course, that thread turned into a DM with me reaching out to him at times without hesitation to ask for guidance or to ask for one thing or the other. But yeah, he's always been graceful enough to reply or do a thumbs up emoji if he's busy. And yeah, leading that Twitter DM to here we are. So yeah, we can get started.
Cool. So awesome, Dan. Can you probably get started by telling us a little bit about yourself and the coolest forks of Web3?
So yeah, just a real quick background because I've probably given the history a million times, but I'm a local of the Bay Area of California, and I actually was more of a entertainer. Like I was making videos and stuff in my youth, and then eventually, editing videos turns into programming apps, and I eventually made friends with my co-founder Kumavis, or Aaron Kumavis Davis, and he went to this meetup. Learned about Ethereum. We were co-working at that time, and so we were just talking a whole bunch about it, talking about how could you interact with an application where there's no single server, there's no secrets anymore. Users have to hold their own keys. And, we had some ideas then, and it sounded really easy at the time. And so we're like, okay, we'll make this real quick. He had an initial version that was entirely in the browser. It was like a browser in the browser, which was extremely ambitious. Eventually, we dialed it back to just being a browser extension. And now we also have a mobile client. And yeah, here we are. It's almost 6 years later, or I think from his original starting on the project, I think it's like 7 years, and 6 years since we, I think, first shared it with the public, and it's changed a lot, but not as much as I'd like. I'm sure everybody has a million features they'd like. I think we really kind of unearthed a new products category. The wallet. What the heck's a wallet? I think the closest thing we had before this was like a password manager, maybe. But a wallet isn't just typing in passwords. It's actually like potentially giving individual consent. It's got not just your accounts, but it has, the ability to perform actions on your behalf. And the websites don't have that ability anymore. And so this real inversion of control. And so now whenever you perform an action on a website, it has to, or, has the opportunity to ask the user for permission. And so we get to be this cool little service on a person's computer that gets their permission for stuff. So I sometimes think of us as a little digital lawyer lives on your computer and says like, this website would like to do that. Is that what you want to do? And we're trying to, and we end up trying to really bridge that gap because we have put, some consent between them and somebody else's idea of what to do with their money. And yeah, so that's like a little micro background on the product category. And obviously this last year, we did a lot to facilitate layer 2 networks. We added APIs that make it easier to switch networks from an application. So users can now use multi-chain applications without entering config values and settings. Like just by consenting to things, you can use applications that are cross-chain. And we are not stopping there. We really do have a vision of the wallet as a truly multi-chain thing where people have accounts of all types. People have different security preferences. Not everyone's going to probably use their own hotkeys for all of their assets. Obviously we have hardware wallets today, and there are also contract accounts today. And now we've got, a distributed signing, multi-party compute algorithms. And I think there's going to be a lot more. And so we're trying to build the wallet in a way that can facilitate ongoing experimentation in all of those ways, so that people really, really have the ability to choose the risk profiles that make sense for them. And so anyways, it's obviously grown to be a much bigger project than we possibly imagined. When we first heard of Ethereum, it sounded like it would be like Rails, like you write your logic, now you make an app, ta-da. But the truth is there's just so much more to it than that. And it's been quite a ride, and clearly there's quite a bit more to go.
Yeah, and that's an amazing, look back at the future, at the past, and also sneak peek in the future. So I just want to do a little time travel with you. You mentioned that you were creating videos. So before MetaMask and Web3, what were you doing, and what led you to take the plunge in Web3?
I did a lot of things. I have I could probably bore you by listing all the weird jobs that I had. I'll tell you a couple weird ones. I was a balloon twister for a little bit. So you'd be at a restaurant and I would go up to you and I'd say, would you like a balloon animal? But I was a balloon artist. Like people would say, what can you make? And I'd say, I'm a balloon artist. You tell me what you'd like me to make, and so I got some good fun challenges there. I had to make the Starship Enterprise one time, or like the Alien and Predator, and sometimes some good challenges. But I did a lot of improv comedy, and then I was teaching computers at some art centers for a while. I really thought of myself as a communicator. I had some background in my history that made me want to do something that had like social impact. But my best sense of how to do that was through communication. So, when things like The Daily Show came out for a while, I thought that was really going to be a big splash. And then we go through all those years and it kind of felt like maybe just laughing at the problems isn't enough. We need to actually build alternative structures for facilitating better cooperation between people. And yeah, I think that Occupy Wall Street was also, I think it was impactful for a lot of us. For me, there was like simultaneous, really mixed feelings, like partly like, hey, look, there's a lot of this feeling out there. A lot of people are discontent with the way things are. There is a lot of will to help people out. And yet it's so chaotic and disorganized, like the people's mic, like taking turns speaking, regardless of, no sense of priority or trust. It just wasn't good enough. And I think a lot of people came out of Occupy with the sense that it's like, look, we've got Reddit. We can upvote comments. We don't have to be sitting in a circle, like taking turns talking. We can definitely come up with a better way. And so, yeah, I think when I started learning how to write web apps, there was a recurring theme of like trying to make up better ways to debate, better ways to make decisions together. And I feel like a lot of the crypto space, a lot of the Web3 space is kind of inspired from similar feelings like that. It's like frustrations with how untrustworthy the old systems have been and a desire to build something better.
That's so cool. And yeah, completely agree with it. I just wanted to touch upon that now that we know MetaMask as a common EVM household name, but every software, every project has a humble beginning. Can you describe maybe what was MetaMask like back then?
So when Kumabas first learned about Ethereum, he was trying out a few different experiments. He probably went through 3 little experiments for what a wallet could be. His first one was a terminal in the browser, and that was not user friendly enough at all. And then the next one was the browser in browser, and that was it ended up being really hard to do. And so then we came up with the browser extension. And yeah, early on, it was very janky. We should definitely post screenshots from the early versions, because the truth is we've gone through like 4 major reskins of MetaMask. But sometimes people say like, oh, MetaMask hasn't changed very much. I really think that we're like in a boil the frog situation. People don't notice all the changes that are happening. But the first version, all your accounts had a walrus avatar. The confirmations were little notifications from the browser. So you couldn't interact with them at all. You could just accept or deny. And so gas price was always just fixed. There was you couldn't import accounts or anything like that. We didn't have any notion of tokens for the first like couple of years or something. Like, ERC20 was an idea. Somebody was like, this is a thing we should do. And for a while, I kind of had the opinion like, look, we've got a big enough job just showing confirmations. Like, we could probably do that, and then somebody could come along and make a dashboard app and show tokens, right? But eventually tokens just became so fundamental to what people expected. We're like, okay, let's add them. Yeah, and that's probably me dragging my feet. Like, I really do value like focus. I think that there's enough of us working on this stuff that we could carve out smaller pieces.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. And that's a great sneak at the past in MetaMask. I'd love to put those screens, and also would love to see the walrus avatars. So,
yeah.
I would love to see those balloon designs if you still have them.
Oh, the balloon. Yeah. If I've got some pictures of the balloon, I'll try tweeting one out if I can dig one up. I mean, I still have my balloon kit, so I could probably just make like an Ethereum logo or something, EPNS. We'll see.
That's amazing. Dan, so just coming back to origin of MetaMask, how did the low poly design Fox come into being? What is the origin of the name and the design?
That was actually kind of a combination of different people. So Kumavas had the idea of, he wanted it to be an animal that was low poly, that maybe evoked the letter M. That's the prompt as I remember it. And then he shared it with a colleague of ours, Christian Jeria, who then made an SVG Fox that was kind of looking to the side. And it's, it was our original version 1 of the Fox. And then this was before I had actually joined. So then I saw that and I was like, oh, it looks like it could be 3D. So I was going to surprise him as part of my kind of joining the team. And so I went on Craigslist and I looked for 3D designers, and I found somebody, and I actually worked with them, and it took like 4 drafts. They're online somewhere where there's several versions of it as it kind of changes to what it became. And I made it into a script where it would follow the cursor, Yeah. So it was kind of, I think we've been passing it around in the spirit of like improv, a lot of yes and, a lot of taking something, changing it, and making it a little better.
So Dan, would love to know, you spoke about some alpha. So would love to know what's the coolest alpha drop that is coming up feature-wise in MetaMask now?
Yeah. So something that's cool that probably just happened a couple of days ago on January 18th, if everything goes according to schedule, we will have launched something that we're calling Metamask Flask. It's a special developer distribution of MetaMask, where we're going to experiment with features that are a little experimental, a little more bold than we would usually push to all users. And so developers are welcome to install Flask as their MetaMask driver, as long as they know how to back up their keys and are willing to do a little coding to, if they write an application that relies on it, just assume the APIs will break. So you might have to. Yeah, we're saying Flask is for developers. We're going to break APIs, but we're going to do some fun, crazy things. And the first fun, crazy thing we're going to do on Flask is we've got a version of snaps. We started realizing that something this big, in order to get it to production, needed to not be a long-running branch, but needed to be built in a way where we can turn it on with a single flip of a switch. And so that's what Flask is. Every feature on Flask, we can trivially transition into production. And so in Flask, we've got a basic version of snaps. The first version is very simple. It allows you to provide APIs to sites, display confirmations to users or alerts if you're maybe something like EPNS, as well as perform some cryptographic information with keys that are derived from the user's secret recovery phrase. So longer term, we're going to be adding a lot of really cool APIs to snaps, letting you represent snaps-based assets in the user's wallet, adding new account types, showing warnings or endorsements on contracts, and much more. We have a lot of things that we think this is going to be useful for. So we really think that this is going to unlock multiple layers of innovation that just were not open to before. Like in the past, you had to build a whole new wallet from scratch if you wanted to do a lot of these things. And so it's been a lot of work. It's basically been the equivalent of building a new operating system kernel. So I hope that people can understand and be patient with us. But I think the reward is going to be great. I think we're going to make the wallet a much more versatile tool.
That's amazing. And when can we expect the alpha drop to be, ready to test and play around with?
By the time this airs, you can go to flask.metamask.io and you can download it and try it out.
Awesome. Amazing. And so much respect for everything that you've been doing. Speaking of respect, MetaMask has actually crossed 21 million active users, and which is like a wow number for everybody. So I just wanted to ask, what has been the biggest challenge that you faced during this journey of, this big, huge metrics?
The biggest challenge along the way, I think it all becomes psychological at a certain point. Like there's a point, like everybody knows this ecosystem does not sleep, it is 24/7. And in particular, if you're building a DeFi app or a wallet, your users have like financial, things at stake. And when there is an outage or there's a bug, or if there's, God forbid, if there's ever a vulnerability of any kind, you don't sleep, you get up, you do it. And so I think that there were some periods in the middle that we hadn't prepared for how serious this space can be at times. I think, just when we started, it was like a hack. So the first year or two, like when the 2017 ICO boom was happening, that was a very hard period. I think that we also had some hard periods where, it was like the bear season of like 2019, where people were starting to have some doubt. We definitely weren't getting funded the way we are now that we've, created revenue. And so we were stretched thin, and we weren't sure if this is because a wallet is a big project or if we were just kind of failing at it, and I think that we've learned now that, yes, actually a wallet is a very big project, and we're finally, I think, treating it with the seriousness that it deserves. And we're trying to make sure everything gets the love that it needs. There's like so much creativity and innovation happening that, maybe the hardest part is just like keeping up with it all. It's just like, not that any of us do, but you trying to, you can use yourself up just doing that.
Absolutely, 100%. And like speaking of what, there is always one feature in the project that is very close to your heart, or even like for my heart in my project, but people really don't embrace it as much as you would want to. So is there a feature like that with MetaMask?
Yeah, kind of. I think there's a couple features that we have where I think people don't appreciate how they kind of complete a story. We've got like these three features actually that I think make multi-chain, long tail creativity viable on MetaMask. So what we added is we added a library that's an onboarding library. So people can say, oh, get your wallet, and we get the person set up and then link back to the site. Then we added an API that adds your custom network. So if you're on a layer 2, it says, hey, this site uses blah, blah, chain. Would you like to switch to it or add it? And then they do, and now they're on that chain. And then the third method is our EIP 747, which is add a custom asset too. So then you can say, we also use this token. Would you like to show that in your wallet? And so there, what we've done is there with no central server, nothing that can go down, other than the site's own networks and dependencies. We've enabled a user to arrive at a site without a wallet, get it, use a custom network, and use an asset that nobody's maybe listing, all just with clicks of consent. And to me, that's really important. We didn't even introduce a central major list or anything. We just let you go to a site, and purely through the trust that you've got established with that link. And yes, I'm saying there's an act of trust when you visit a link. Don't click links from people you don't trust. Don't trust links from strangers. But upon visiting a link that you can trust, we can fully onboard you to a new ecosystem, a new chain that is possibly as cheap as you can imagine, and a new asset that somebody may have just made up minutes before. And to me, I'm very proud of that.
Awesome. And I would love to know that, what's one of the maybe the coolest experiments that you have seen in Web3 that hasn't sort of wagged me yet, but you think has a lot of potential?
I'll give a shout out. I just yesterday learned that, I guess, a project by Rick Dudley, Laconic, after 4 years in stealth mode, is about to come out. It was inspired by a lot of the problems that Infura, or like hosting Ethereum nodes, has, where like everyone trusts this central node, but now that central node has all the server costs. In this one, everybody helps save some state, and they help gossip it to each other. I like Gnosis Safe add-ons. Like they have a whole module system. What's the Zodiac kind of ecosystem, I think, is really cool, because they're making Gnosis Safe as a contract account allows anyone to write a contract that plugs in and can act on behalf of that contract. And so Zodiac is a suite of these modules that are oriented at DAOs. And so it's kind of becoming a plug and play DAO system. And it's a very lightweight one. So I love and respect like the Aragon approach and stuff, and and Colony, and there's like all these great experiments in dApps. But I like this one because it's just doing such a good it's like featherweight. Your Gnosis Safe is one contract module. Just add the modules you need. It's like, and the Gnosis Safe wasn't even made for that. I like seeing when people make contracts where they're interoperable and they didn't even have to be made together, but they're made so well that somebody else can repurpose them. I love seeing that kind of thing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. So Dan, I wanted to know, like, MetaMask, how do you guys decide like what features should come on MetaMask or not? Like, is there a thought process behind it? We'd love to know that.
Yeah. Ideally, it would all just be like public and open and available for others to like mutate. And I know I have a doc running where I put my like craziest like open decision-making process ideas. Today, it's not that let's say like hashed, linked, into centralized. We've got a series of different documents. These days, a lot of the prioritization is actually happening in a Notion, although I do a lot of like brainstorms on Roam. So GitHub obviously has lots of issues and lots of feature requests. And there's so many, I think we have like 10,000 or something. And so what we try to do is we try to lump them into categories. We try to list those categories, and then we start talking about, okay, strategically, which of these categories are like facilitating our upcoming goals. And so and then combine that with our long-term goals. So we've got like long-term, like I have a sense of what I think a wallet needs to become, like in 20 years, if we haven't done that, we kind of failed. But of course, along the way, we have to adapt to the current ecosystem. We say, oh, it looks like, the transaction fees are too damn high. We really need to make sure that layer 2 is thriving right now. So we combine our high level plans, these kind of thematic, we call like epics or initiatives, use that to kind of prioritize the groups of issues that we're doing on a quarter by quarter basis. We do have a community page where we invite people to post feature requests. So that ends up being one of those things where it's like, okay, well, that's a feature that I'd like to develop alongside all of our other features. And so now we have to decide whether, how much energy we want to put on optimizing our process, this or that, which is coming first. I think we have so many things that we want to do that even just laying them out can be a enormous task.
That's an amazing insight. And thanks for diving so deep into it, Dan. On that note, we spoke about like how you guys look into what upcoming features will come on MetaMask. But MetaMask itself has so many cool features that not many people know about. I want you to outline one cool feature of MetaMask which people haven't embraced yet.
I don't think people have noticed. Like sometimes we ship features and people don't even notice. Here's two. People haven't noticed that you can log in with multiple accounts and facilitate multi-account dApps. So for example, a portfolio dApp like Zapper or Zerion could ask for you to select as many accounts as you want. They can view those, and you can now interact with all those accounts at once. That's a cool thing that basically nobody's doing today. Also, we added an encryption API, so you can send encrypted messages to MetaMask users. It does require them providing a public key first, and then anyone can write encrypted messages to those keys. And then we have a special method for decrypting those. If you wanted to make a end-to-end encrypted messaging app or anything that incorporates absolutely secret messages to the user, that's an API that's available today. Very few dApps have, they use it in a creative way. They don't use it even in the way that it was designed. Naturally, they're hacking it. Not a lot of people using it to actually make encrypted messaging.
Got it. That's signed message, right?
No, that's it's decrypt, wallet decrypt method, I think.
A wallet decrypt.
Yeah. docs.metamask.io. There's some secret gems in there. We're going to be giving a lot of love to our docs in this coming year.
Awesome. All right. Moving forward, Dan, like there's so many so-called chatter of wallet wars. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So what do I think about wallet wars? Well, there's definitely more wallets today than there have ever been in our history. And we knew when we built MetaMask, we were building it on open standards. The secret recovery phrase is an open standard. And we did that so that people would have the option of using other tools that would work for them. And yeah, I think that there are so many things that a wallet could do and that a person might want a wallet to do, that I think that there's a lot of value in having many approaches. Like naturally having contract accounts is like a must-have for some people. And then having an account that is like, maybe it's more DeFi centric, maybe it's more NFT centric. Everyone's got their own sense of what Web3 is. And I feel like every wallet developer is kind of bringing their own sense of that. Web3 it's like a very, very big concept. And I think that at MetaMask, maybe it's just because we were first, technically, I guess like Mist was first, but they're not around anymore. But because we were early and we're kind of the oldest Web3 wallet, I feel like we kind of have a responsibility to kind of play the middle, where we try to enable as many different use cases as possible. We're not over pandering to one community. We're not, just trying to integrate the features that facilitate one use case, But I think also when you start making a wallet that's more entrenched in one use case, it can kind of compromise on the interoperability. Like when you go to another site now, if that site wants to interact with the assets on that other thing, that's part of the fun of Web3. Part of the fun is I can take my tokens from this sale, I can take them to this exchange, I can bond them in this DAO, I can back them on this NFT. You can go to different sites and you're doing lots of different things with the same underlying assets. And I think that kind of interoperability largely comes from having a wallet that is trying to facilitate the widest set of use cases. And it's totally the hardest thing to do. Anyways, I think there's a lot of creative approaches to wallets right now. I see a lot of people taking a lot of approaches. I still don't see anybody that I think has like nailed why I'm in it and why MetaMask is doing it. And so, I wish them the best of luck in meeting their needs as wallets. But I look forward to somebody doing what I have in mind better than me, because then I can finally get some rest.
That's nicely put. And I don't think that's happening in the near future, Dan. So, yeah.
Yeah, lots of very different ideas. That's for sure.
Yep. Awesome. So, Dan, I would love to know what's next for you. What are the plans of 2022 and how do you see Web3 evolving?
2022, well, we all know that it's the year of layer twos, right? But I think for us, we've got some big design changes and improvements in mind, largely oriented at facilitating scalability. We're finally bringing NFTs to extension, and we've got some nice extra features for NFT lovers in the works. We're going to continue making transactions more readable. If we do it right, we will try to get snaps to production, and so MetaMask will be a fully not just multi-EVM chain, but maybe facilitating finally contract accounts and all sorts of other cool innovation. I can't wait for that. Looking forward to finally have syncing across devices, possibly maybe finally get some proper social features. Although I think that proper decentralized social is a little bit harder than most people think. I think that it's easy to just build a new Web2 social network on top of a wallet. But I think that there are some things that if we want to make it a healthy ecosystem, we should try to do right. Yeah. I think it's going to be a big year for improving scalability and readability and I think the usability. I think we're going to step up just like how it feels to use it. Like I think we're using a lot of the UX that we've had for like 2.5, 3 years. I think that we're going to be stepping it up a lot. I think we're going to be improving a lot of APIs. I think it'll be a good year for developing and using Web3.
Awesome. So yeah, one last question because we spoke about social network and innovation. So what do you feel about communication or Web3 native communication via wallets? Of course, we are talking about us, and I would love to know your opinion about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the first principle that I would just advocate, and I think that you already do this, is that communication should be opt-in. Like the last thing we want is anybody can ping my address, right? But as long as I'm subscribing to things, then I think that it's on the right direction. Obviously, we've got all sorts of interesting architectural problems, like who hosts the server. Do the notifications go down if one server goes down? If so, that's a little embarrassing from a Web3 perspective, and yet not unrealistic because of the realities of how things get built, especially bit by bit. Communication within should we have a messenger built into the wallet at some point? Status does that, and that's really cool. Maybe on the mobile client someday we'll have something like that. For now, you could pretty much do that as a website on the desktop app. So that's not unthinkable, but should it be embedded? I don't know. I don't think it's our top priority right now, although we do have, we've had some experiments that I think get fun where we could make a chat where we incorporate like the APIs into the chat. This is like going off. This is not MetaMask team sanctioned, but I had a weekend hack with Kumavis a little while back where we made like a chatbot that incorporated a JavaScript API within the chat context. And I could imagine making a cool like social smart contracting environment where you can like actually maybe code and invoke and interact right there in the chat. I think that'd be really fun someday.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool insights.
Yeah. That's
go for it.
No. That's a lot. That's so there's a lot of different things that communication can mean, of course, right? Like, so push is it's a good starting point because like any other communication is based on it, and it seems like it should be a simple use case, although making it properly decentralized is always more complicated than you might anticipate.
Yep. Woo!
Yeah. So congratulations on the launch today.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Dan. Awesome. So this brings us to the end of phase one of the interview, Dan. What we don't tell our guests is that Richa basically online, she stalks a guest online, prepares a customized set of wacky questions for them, and then ask those questions to you. So that's the phase two of the interview, and on to you, Richa.
Yeah, thanks, Harsh. And these are not as scary questions as Harsh is making them sound. They're just fun questions. So Dan, I'll just ask some questions, maybe rapid fire, take 5 to 10 seconds, and we'll have some fun. All right, so let's get started. Your favorite builder?
I mean, I feel like the word builder for me is almost synonymous with Austin Griffith. Like he's with the Build Guild. I feel like he's done so much for making usable tools and building a community, like taking on apprentices. I think it's just a wonderful thing.
Yep. And he's one of our favorite guests as well. Fox doesn't exist in the world. What does the MetaMask logo look like?
Maybe it's an octopus, just because our next choice was the Mustakala, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with octopus for now.
Yeah. Animal for sure. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, probably. There was also an old joke that it would be a jackalope, or maybe a walrus for, the walrus reasons.
So you get up and it's 2050. What do you see?
2050? I get up? Well, do we even see anymore? Or do we just like interpret our kind of Neuralink sensory inputs from the world? Hopefully I see a bunch of, hopefully I see my bedroom and then I step out and hopefully I see a community of friends who are, have what they need to and are empowered to, build lives that they're happy with.
That's amazing. All right. We know you're multi-talented. So what's your another hidden talent that we don't know of?
I played a lot of violin as a child, like 8 years or something. So when I make digital instruments, they're usually fretless. Like I like between the notes. I think it's a beautiful thing to not be constrained to a single scale.
Amazing. And one of the most popular questions asked, when dollar meta?
When dollar meta? You mean like when token? Yeah, definitely not as soon as you're hoping. just dial back a little bit, take a break, build something you care about. Don't count on us to, we're really focused on enabling people to enable themselves. If we, at any point do something like that, we'll make sure our community is the first to know, but not too soon.
Awesome. And that's a shout out to everybody who's trying to claim some airdrops. So there is no token out there.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, if you're ever claiming an airdrop, just know a real airdrop is not going to ask for your secret recovery phrase. Okay. Just step one, you can go get some shady tokens from strangers on Twitter. Just like if they throw errors on Etherscan and try to direct you to some other shady website, don't give them your secret recovery phrase, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, don't give out your secret recovery phrase. And then you should be okay. Like, it's fine to accept airdrops and see what those are worth. But yeah, just don't also give away everything you own.
There you go. There you heard it. If you could be a fly on the wall, who would you want to listen in on?
These days, honestly, I feel like I'm so lucky. I feel like I get to listen in on. I feel like I get to join and talk to and interact with some of the most incredibly brilliant people in the world, and I'm so grateful. Honestly, at MetaMask, we've been getting enormous inspiration and mentorship from the folks at Agoric. So people like Mark Miller and Dean Tribble and Chris Kowal, and Kate Sills, and I won't gonna list that whole company. Sorry, I'm gonna hold back, but incredibly grateful. I love talking to Mark and them, and they teach us so much about building secure distributed systems, and that's what we're really doing. And they've got decades of thoughts on the topic, and so I've been so happy to meet people that feel like they're historically deep on a topic that I've found myself in.
Amazing. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following? Wrong answers only. ATH?
$100. Right.
Wag me?
Yeah, I sure hope so. Let's make it so. Make it so. Let's not assume it, huh?
Yes. GM?
Yeah, good morning.
Wrong answers only.
Wrong answers only. Oh, sorry. Gold mine.
Amazing. Your favorite ice cream flavor?
I don't eat a lot of ice cream. Oh, I've been enjoying salted caramel mochi though.
Really good. Cats or dogs?
Cats. I got a cat. I love them.
There you go. Your favorite superhero?
I'm not a huge comic book person, so my earliest formative superhero was just Superman. I liked the sass of Spider-Man. I like the industriousness of Iron Man. I don't know. Yeah.
That works. All the classics. Sure. Your top 3 projects of Ethereum are?
Account abstraction. So let's bring contract accountabilities to all accounts. Sorry to just say Gnosis Safe again, but I think that extensible contract accounts are great. Well, also, shout out to Nick Mudge with the Diamond Standard. I really think that that's a cool way to compose smart contracts. Yeah, sorry, I'm not touching investable things. I'm talking things that are primitive and facilitate building great things.
That's amazing. And finally, Dan, what does Ethereum mean to you?
Ethereum means to me our first great shot at building a trustworthy shared computing base.
That's amazing. I loved all those answers, especially $100. I mean, WST,
demonstrably false. That was an easy one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan, for coming on the show and taking your time out. I mean, we loved every bit of the conversation. To everyone who has tuned in, till next time, guys, gold pine.
Yeah, stay safe. Bye.
And thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Dan.
Stop.
Thank you so much for doing this.